department.
Okay,
My sheriff responders.
Okay.
We have done that.
you took Chris's seat.
And my term is expiring.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
To what board?
so we're back up.
Harbor Port Authority,
We'll go back into open session,
3-year term beginning in January of '22.
budget. We had left off with the county coroner.
I did find a document we were talking about back in 2002 for the 2003 budget. He was making $3,000 a year, and at that point requested to move to $12,000. We did put in the budget 68, so we doubled it back in 2002 for the yeah.
So 9 years ago.
At that point, he was asking for 12. I guess back then that was a lot of money. I knew there was something about it. But
Well, you keep good records for, I'm impressed, Debbie.
yeah,
Really.
just finding them is the hard part.
So do we want to,
It's whatever your pleasure.
bump him up? Do we want to wait till he comes before us?
This is just me. I put a placeholder in there for, till we do our final. I put a placeholder for 12, saying that we've reviewed your request from 2002.
Oh, I'm not sending it that way.
And after 18 years, we've decided that
Yeah.
Grant
It's
your
time.
request.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure if you ask him, if he was asking for 12 back in 2002, if you ask him right now, he's going to ask for way more than what we were thinking, so.
So we
So I
can do a
think it's time to
placeholder
double it
of
for sure.
15,000.
why did I write down fees should go up to 15,000? I wrote that down.
We had
I
talked
had
about
said
it.
that 15 was the number I threw out there, but
Okay.
no real reason other than almost double of what's in there right now.
I would ask to put that in there as a placeholder right now, and we'll make
Yeah,
the final
I think-
decision
I think-
later.
Okay, 15,000 for now.
We might have folks that wouldn't even consider it if it's such a low number, they just go poof.
No.
Right.
Okay, anything else on the county coroner?
I don't have.
Is that under the condition that he stays for like 18 more years? 7 years.
That would make him,
Is that John 7
He-
or is
you know,
that his
he's-
7?
He's got so much energy, I think,
Okay, so.
In
next-
ask for it, I just, all right, go on.
Prosecuting attorney, page 79. I think the only requests he had were salaries. I want to reiterate that his budget makes me nervous at the moment because those 2 grants. One, I'm a little less because I think January or February was the last time, but the other one was supposed to renew in September or October. I don't remember what date, but we have not gotten a yes that it has renewed. And there are 3 positions in his budget that are funded by grant funding.
And they're not at always a given because it was taken away for a while.
I don't think,
And what
we
did
never
we
had
do?
either one of these before.
Oh, those 2. I was thinking she applied for it just last year. She said it's a victim advocate.
So there's 2 victim advocates that are paid by VOCA and 1 attorney that's paid by VAWA.
Yeah, that one's definitely.
And it's not even all of her salary. I think it's 70% or something.
so if we don't get that grant,
So there's a big change to the part-time salary there. That's because of the new part-time attorney
Oh,
that wasn't there before.
and she is
Doing traffic.
traffic and getting those caught up.
Yeah.
High volume stuff.
That
So.
would be her if she's here for the full year?
Yes.
Um,
That's additional to, he has
Oh.
like a office person as well, and then some seasonal interns in there. The agreement with him was we took an open prosecutor position away. We took a portion of that and gave it to a full-time prosecuting attorney to bring that salary up, and we took the other portion and created this part-time attorney position. So he divided one full-time position into this part-time and additional funding for an APA.
Do we recognize any revenue from traffic?
For traffic, no. The
Does
only
that go to
revenue really
schools or
in
where-
his line is that grant funding, and then the delinquent tax money that we receive, half of it goes to general fund, and the other half goes into his PA delinquent tax fund. And it's actually dropping. I actually think that my projection there is too high. I'm close, but. So I don't, those are just two heads up. We can talk about the salary stuff tomorrow if you'd like. Behind that fund is the training fund. This is the prosecutor's portion of training. It's based on a fee that's I think comes from the circuit clerk. It's to use for training for people in his office. It's an in and out account. Then he also has two other funds. One's the delinquent tax fund, and then he also has administrative handling costs. Those are both in and out accounts as well. One is the other half of the delinquent tax, and the other one is a combination of bad check fees and restitution amounts. Any questions? And then on page 84 is Department 165, which is the old sheriff's department before they moved out into their own fund. The only thing that's accounted for in there is the transfer from general fund to the law enforcement fund. That amount, based on what we agreed to when that tax passed, was $2,040,000. We do have two fees that we back off of there before we send it to the sheriff to eliminate some back and forth. One is an administrative cost, which is 3% of his sales tax figure. And then he also has a computer services fee. That's based on the cost allocation study we have done every other year. Questions about that? I did just update that number based on the new sales tax number. So it is slightly different than what's shown in the book. 1,690,866. So the change in sales tax to actual has kind of a trickle-down effect to multiple things. Administrative fees are based on certain numbers. They carry forward to the general fund. So I was trying to update some of those as we went. This one I've already updated. Questions about that?
So what's our sales tax right now?
Actual sales tax, 7,333,968. So, yep. So emergency management on page 87. Obviously Nick's new and came in right as we were doing budget, so I don't think he had a lot of changes. Possibly some coming when he reapplies for his grant funding.
And some of those other grants we just approved will move forward.
Oh yes, they need to be in here.
I don't know if I had court ordered them in. I think I
I
did.
think you did. I think it just was before this.
Mhm.
I don't really have anything in there. One thing to note is the difference in salaries there is moving that administrative person into this budget from 122, which is the commission's budget.
Did we ever get anything together with the city about the grant, about how
No.
that's,
Someone needs to be working on that.
congratulations, Sam. Thanks for volunteering.
I just need the numbers.
Second.
I need the numbers and I can do that. Of what we suggest they should be paying. So,
I'm gonna just, while I'm in here, I'm gonna say that both of these will
Gladly
not
do
be
that.
spent before the end of the
When's he
year.
supposed to find out if that grant pays for the extra employee for, I guess for, his assistant? He's gonna apply for that and then we get reimbursed?
So right now, it does cover him and Tracy. It
Up to
covers
a-
half of their salaries.
Up to a limit.
Right, so the max he gets for the year is 55,278, but they're on the state tax year, not the calendar year like we are. So he will reapply mid-year in 2022.
So they're covering 50% of Tracy's and 50% of his?
Mhm.
and so they're paying us 55,000.
I thought
What
it
was
was
that?
only half of or actually a quarter of Tracy's, half of a half.
I don't have the grant in front of me.
But we're looking at moving her to being full-time
And
admin
next
assistant
one.
for him, right?
42,183 would be half of both of them. No, that's just half of salaries.
Yeah.
So it's probably a quarter of hers and half of his.
Are we just moving, okay, so was Tracy under our budget then?
Now,
And then they
currently.
reimbursed us for her?
Quarter.
He only submitted a quarter of it based on her being in our budget, I guess.
So we were saying that she was working for us 3/4 of the time?
No, so the way that,
She was
the
working
way
for us
that's
half the
supposed to
time.
work is you would have submitted, her salary to the feds to be reimbursed. Then whatever the feds didn't cover, the city would pay half of that. So they would have paid a quarter. We would have
Whatever was
paid a
left.
quarter of her emergency management, we would have paid a quarter for her working for you. So we would have essentially paid half. The city would have paid a quarter and the feds would have paid a quarter. But we were not billing the city for her at all.
But I thought we were using her for commission stuff for a while, and that's why she was under our budget and not,
Well, so it was half. We were covering half of her salary, the other half was going to emergency management.
Yeah.
The feds were paying a quarter and emergency
and
management
then we were
was paying
splitting a quarter between the city and county.
The city was not paying any of her salary. They have not ever.
Okay.
Thanks, bye.
Now we're gonna move her over to 100% there, and we're gonna ask the feds to pay for half, and then we wanna pay a quarter and the city pay a quarter, right?
Yes.
So I will need figures to,
But we don't know that the feds are gonna pay half of hers
No, we don't know that yet.
until next June or July.
But I think there are some other costs that, according to the 1989 agreement with the city, the feds do not cover the hazmat costs that are included in this budget, but according to that agreement with the city, they should be covering half of the hazmat cost as well. And those were not being billed either.
Yeah, that's kinda the way I looked at it, was all that.
So that's my bigger concern is there are items in this budget that original agreement shows they should be paying half of and they're not being submitted to them or reimbursed by them.
his budget?
So I would really like to restructure the agreement with the city if possible and do it more like we do 911.
Yeah,
And whatever the budget we approve for this department, they would pay like 25%.
That's kind of the way I looked at it.
And
too.
then we don't do that quarterly billing and all of that stuff. It would be a set amount for the year. We could bill them quarterly for it if they wanted to pay it that way, but it would cut down on the paper. I mean, we would obviously be willing to give them copies of whatever they wanted to see, but just like they do with 911, here's a copy of our budget, 25% of the budget is X, and we will bill you for it quarterly.
so we need to write up a new agreement with the city.
We need a new
Yeah,
agreement either way.
I know, I mean, we
Yeah.
need to,
You
if
don't even
it's,
need a new agreement. The agreement says how it's supposed to be done.
but if it's
We're just not following it.
1989,
5%?
it's,
What are you gonna change? 1989, that agreement says they're supposed to be paying half of what's not reimbursed by the grant. We're just not doing it that way. They're just
Give
paying
him credit for that.
half of the half. Because the grant's not all of this is submitted in there as part of the grant. The agreement doesn't say that they're paying half of what's not covered by the grant. Or I guess the other half that's covered by the grant would be more true, because it is covered.
The
That's what they're matching is that
hazmat
half.
items are not covered under the grant,
Yeah.
only the
So-
emergency management items.
so we need to modify the agreement at least.
Well, currently the agreement says that they will cover their
Agreement's
portion
right.
of the hazmat
Oh,
stuff as
well,
well.
Yeah. I
And
think
we
the
why,
agreement-
so it's our mistake.
We
that
have not been billing it
Okay,
correctly
so
for
we
many
need-
years.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So
The
it's our-
agreement's fine.
okay, so
We're
it's,
just not
it's
billing it
our,
correctly.
But I also think an updated agreement, a 1989 agreement that we're still under, needs to be rewritten and redone. And if we can change it to where it's less burdensome on the billing portion of it to them, that would be nice. Other questions with 167? So, page 90 is parks. So the parks budget looks completely different than it did last year. So, previously, we would pay $18,000 to Road and Bridge to cover the seasonal people that were supposed to work the parks. The proposal for 2022 is to add a full-time and one seasonal part-time person to the parks budget, and also account for all the individual materials and supplies and contract services and things in the actual parks budget. So we have broken that out into multiple lines, which you can see there.
He went from 28,000 difference to 103,000 difference.
But we shouldn't just stop at that comparison, because there's a sort of a counterbalancing difference over on, not to dollar for dollar, but over in Public Works.
Not
different funds.
necessarily.
We're adding more people here.
Well, okay.
So they are
What
not
are those
giving-
people, where are
they
those
not
people
giving
today?
anybody up to do this.
No.
They are not giving up a position to make this change.
Where's this person today?
This person doesn't exist. It is a new position in 2022.
This work's being done today.
Yes.
Where's this, who's doing this work today? Someone who's on the Public Works payroll?
Yes.
All right. So that person kind of shifts from one spot to another, but what you're saying is
Their
Public
proposed
Works.
budget does
doesn't-
not do away with a
Okay,
person.
I got you. All right.
So
So-
you could say that's coming from Public Works to Parks, but then they're gonna backfill that position in.
Yeah, I
Public
mean,
Works.
well, I guess where I'm going with that is, let's not be too critical of parks. Maybe the criticism belongs somewhere else, or part of it. if we're
Well, I
spending
think
too much
Maybe
money,
we haven't been fully paying the whole cost either.
right?
That would be.
True.
That would be a true statement I think we'd all would live with, yes.
Okay.
So in the winter, when this person is doing the snow removal, will he still be, he'll be coming out of this parks?
This will be 100% funded by Parks. This person will not be an employee of
Okay,
Public
so,
Works. They
so
will be
when
an
he's
employee of Parks.
using his truck and to clean our parking lots and everything like that, it's
It-
still,
It will be structured very similar to the way planning is currently structured. Planning is kind of its own department. It falls under the umbrella of Public Works, but they are their own department. They have their own funding, their own salaries, their own stuff. So we're proposing that Parks would be the same way. They would be their standalone department that falls under the umbrella of Public Works.
And it will give you a truer picture of what we're paying for parks. Definitely will do that, but I don't see it eliminating much on the other side.
so where's
Taking
the
it out.
salt and chemicals gonna come from for the
That would-
snow removal?
For at the parks or what?
Well, if the parks is going to be cleaning our county lots,
There is not a line in here for salt.
That's over in Public Works, right?
so they will just go, Public Works will provide the salt.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
There were 3 other additional, well, maybe not. At least 2 additional changes that they wanted to make from the original numbers. One was adding the Missouri Parks and Rec Association organizational dues and meeting travels and dues, and then they wanted to increase the utility line by $3. So it's kind of a lot. I mean, it's completely changing that department and the look of that department. I think there is a little bit of question as far as park improvements. I guess there is a list behind it. No? There's $10,000 for park maintenance. What kind of projects would come out of that versus what would come out of capital improvements? I don't know. I mean, it could be like replacing a door on a bathroom or replacing a broken toilet or sink. It could be, replacing a picnic bench.
Cleaning graffiti off of the
Yes,
walls,
yes.
whatever.
So I definitely think there would be some costs that wouldn't fall under capital improvements.
I'm okay with breaking this out, kinda like we did with EMS and our dispatch, so that we could get a true feeling of what is spent on it. I don't wanna be adding more people. That's just where I struggle with it. So there are some improvements in there that,
And there was improvements in there before.
Yeah.
So
And some in sales tax, just keep that in mind too.
So any of the lines that show activity in 2020 and 2021 were there previously, so refunds, insurance, meeting travels and dues, tool and shop supplies, utilities, reimbursement of personnel services and park improvements were in the budget already. So I don't know if you want to keep going and come back to parks after we talk about
Public Works, let's do that,
Um,
because there's an interplay
yes,
here at
yes.
work.
So, yes,
And they're next anyway.
so Public Works is next, so let's talk about them and then we may circle back around to parks. I don't have anything really on the revenue side of road and bridge, other than the fact that the cart and motor vehicle fuel numbers are changing due to the change in the fuel tax. So the 2.5 cents a year for the next 5 years is going to change our distribution of that, because it's based on number of miles of road in our county. We get a percentage of that tax. As that tax goes up, our percentage amount will go up.
Isn't it also based upon our assessed valuation?
I don't-
Cart taxes.
That one is,
There's a factor there.
yeah, it is.
Half of it's the mileage and half of it's your assessment compared to the assessment in the state of rural.
So I have that email. Let's just pull that up.
So to
Another
the
one-
extent that our assessed valuation is understated, we suffer on the cart revenue.
We're losing out on getting our taxpayers' money back into this area to use,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
What does cart stand for, by the way?
County aid road tax.
Yeah, I
think.
was gonna flunk that one.
County aid road trust, sorry,
Crux,
trust.
trust.
Yep.
County aid.
Yeah, 25% of the amount of the road is on property tax collection within the city. I don't know.
So, the numbers that Mac sent out in their estimation is different than, we got an estimated additional amount from the state that they projected over the 5-year period that we divided out by 5 to back into our number before we had this. So, it's kind of a guess at this point in time what that number
But
looks like.
we're not being, I don't want to say this, that 2.5 cents a gallon increases annually till it's 12.5 cents. We're not looking at that 5 years and then taking 1/5 back, are we? Because it doesn't really roll in until the 5th year, the last part of it. You know what I'm saying?
No, so we did that to back into our number for the budget next year.
Okay, all
We
right.
had an estimation of what the additional funding would be, and then we backed into 1/5 of it to get our projection. 1/5 of our percentage of it. So,
Okay, but this is going to be a growing number every year for
Yes.
and next year is the first of 5 years of
Yes.
growth. Okay, got it.
yes.
It looks like it's around 200,000.
And what MAP puts out is Cole County has a percentage of 0.0099% of the total figure. Then you take the estimated amount that you're going to receive in gas tax revenue times our percentage to get our portion. Their number is different than what is currently in the budget.
Yeah, I saw another email I thought come through that was supposed to be a corrected number, so I don't
Well,
know.
that's what I have here on the
And it's even
screen.
different than that one?
Yeah, well,
And then depends on how
yes.
many people get their refund and how many,
Well, how does that work? When
So
When
their
Cole
number-
Countyans apply for refund, does that take down their Cole County tax, or is it just the state
it's
tax
the
which
overall.
distributed? Yeah, because you can't tell where you bought or
Yeah,
I don't think you, or the residents of the person getting the refund, the county of residence? I don't know.
Well, you don't know where that person purchased their tax. So I could live here, but I purchased most of my tax in St. Louis because I drive back and forth. I mean, that would be hard. That would be hard to back into.
Impossible.
but what if somebody was out of state and bought it?
I know.
Sarah Walsh.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can-
They can't do it. They can't even request it, I don't think.
I don't think they can. I don't think they can.
So
That's-
according to this, if you'd use the 93,800,000 in gas tax revenues times the county's percentage, it's 928,620, and currently in the budget, we have 948,180.
It's pretty close for that type of money.
So I don't know what you want to do. It would
I-
reduce the other one as well.
I think that's as an educated guess as I don't know if there's any reason to go with a different number. the numbers you used, seem to make sense.
Agreed.
And the other one, we have 400, it's a little more different, 420,000, and their calculation comes 343,530.
That was a lot less.
I think we're going to exceed that this year, so that one to me seems off on their calculation, because my projections that we're gonna be at like 419, so 343 is below what I'm gonna get right now, and that's without the increase, so I don't know.
Now, this motor vehicle sales tax, that's based upon the cost of the vehicle, is it not?
Yes.
I mean, that's going north. It's an increasing, well, you've got it going north. Like,
Some,
well, not much.
Not much.
100,000.
Not much. I think that's probably a very conservative number there.
Oh,
But
no, I'm sorry.
their estimate from here is only the 343, so.
Really?
Yeah, I don't understand how they're coming to their projected numbers.
I could say something, but I won't.
So if you guys are good with leaving it where it's at and we see where we land, I'm good with that, but if you want to make adjustments, I can do that as well.
I don't think I can justify readjust or adjustments, but, so I'm good.
Okay, so we're gonna skip salaries at the moment. Professional services. They had something in there that they wanted to remove because their number was actually lower.
Move something to 54929. Safety
and
improvements
weather
from
safety.
professional services.
That was it, but they also had a weather item, cause I already made the tree removal and the guardrail adjustment.
They
Okay.
canceled the service for the DT and weather satellite
Yep,
service.
so that's this one I need to take out, 32,690.
Yeah.
So that one would actually go down, so we wanna do that one. Then the next one was their internet,
Yeah, 2 tablets.
2 additional tablets, which I think he was supposed to be checking on that one because I think there was some confusion as to whether that's 2 additional beyond the 2 hotspots that are currently in there. So will you put him on the list of people to double check?
Oh, okay. those.
Do you have a problem with including that if it's not in there, is the 2 additional tablets for cellular service?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm fine with the tablets, going to 17 from the 15.
So we're just gonna verify that the 2 hotspots are different than the 2 additional tablets that I have listed already.
So, okay, so like we were talking about this morning, we're not getting 2 hotspots, we're getting 2 tablets that have internet.
Yeah, I
access.
think, yeah, so that's the question. Are you getting 2 additional hotspots, or are you getting 2 cellular tablets? So,
Okay.
the next one was meetings. I have an additional 1,228, but I don't have what it was for. What's it say?
Conference attending meals, various events, we submitted 22. They want a decrease? 20,000?
No, well, that's what it is right now. I submitted.
Oh, so they want 22,190.
So this one is growing quite a bit from previous years, to the tune of about $6,000.
It sounded like a lot of national associations, and I'm pretty sure at one point, we were not trying to do the national ones in all departments, but now we're kind of back to that. Everywhere, not just their department. And I think several of them are on the national. Eric, Brian, and Matt are all on the national associations.
Oh, they are on the board?
So we have in the past I try to list them out so we can kind of see which ones they have been going to, but we have in the past limited some departments and say, hey, here's your pot of money. You then decide which of
It's
the ones
important.
you have that you want to attend. It's totally up to you guys what you want to do there. It's only $1,228 difference between what he's requesting.
I'll pick my fights on that one. That one's just if they wanna go to those and I feel like it's a good use of the money.
So I don't really know which one am I adding back in.
If it benefits
have
them,
it
if
written down
they,
either.
It
yeah.
just says they're all belong to the National Park.
So he just wants to go back to his request.
Yeah.
I do know they're pretty active in the groups and stuff that they are.
So here's the fun part of that. I put in everything he requested at what it was, other than office training, safety day, and miscellaneous snow fight meetings.
Snow
Snow
what?
fight meals, sorry.
I was like, I wanna go to that.
Snow fight meals is what it says.
Snow fight?
Uh-huh.
So when they have to work longer times because of the snow.
That's what they want back. Is I cut that down to $572 from his.
I think they bring in pizza and things like that. Is that,
They didn't carry it, but they tipped it, I think.
A snow fight meeting.
And then they had $800 for the APWA Fall Conference. Was the other item that was removed. But they're already attending that in the spring. So there's two
So-
meetings a year. I put one and not the other.
Eric was president of that, is he? Do we have somebody on that board again?
I have no idea. So those were the two items that got reduced.
And that's the thing. if you
for
take-
$1,200, I'd just go ahead and grant it.
Me too.
Put them both back.
Yeah.
Just let Eric know about the snowflake meeting. Snow fight meeting, snow fight.
Well, couldn't it be snow removal?
No.
Fight?
It says snow fight. Okay.
Everything they do though's gotta go through us, so
Well,
when we see the snow fight meeting request information, we can,
I mean, by the time you guys see it again, it'll be a bill to be paid. To be quite honest.
okay, well,
So,
we can ask for clarification on
Oh,
that.
sure.
Is this where
There's
they,
bill.
if they make snowballs and throw them at each other?
Okay.
That's what I call a snow fight.
it literally is. It's when they're there and they're stuck there because of
They're fighting
snow.
the snow.
Snow. They're fighting snow.
They're
So-
fighting snow, not each other.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, yes, fighting. the
Fighting snow, not fighting each other.
very good.
snow. We just needed to wake up, Chris.
Yeah.
Because dinner is settling in.
So I'm
I mean,
gonna
okay.
I'm gonna skip over to here and water and gas and propane were two that they brought up. Again, I do a spreadsheet that kind of estimates that with the built-in increase. I don't know. Like we said, the water one had an odd amount in it.
As much effort as you go to get those figures, I would just use Kristen's figures and move on.
So if you look, they're only at 748 this year. I put 850 in there next year. In 2020, they had a $1,000 bill in December, which is totally out of line with their normal bill. So I don't know if they had a leak or something that created that problem. If you eliminate that one, my number's probably a better estimate. And then the gas and propane, we could possibly increase, just with the price of propane.
Do we have a fixed number that, I mean, are we just risking market price there, or does it matter?
When they fill up the tanks, we go out to bid and get
Oh.
a good
Best
price.
But we don't have any preset price. I mean, we didn't
No.
pre-buy or
No.
anything, right?
Most of them will not lock in a price longer than X number of days to fill the tank. Like, it's so volatile, they won't lock it in any longer than that.
Of course,
We
if-
kind of do on natural gas, we do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but if our number is too low here, we're just gonna have to pay whatever the market demands.
Correct.
Okay.
So I would say leave water alone for sure. If you want to up the propane, I can see that. I went fairly close to my projection this year.
What is Monticello? I know where it is,
That's
but
the
what?
address of Public Works' building. They're on Monticello. So that's their main office building is Monticello.
So what costs 15,000 there?
That's their electric.
Okay, that's electric.
Mhm. Actually, now that I say that, yeah, they're Three Rivers bill.
Okay.
To go on gas and propane, 58 to 78 or 8,000, whatever you guys want to do.
I'm okay with leaving it at 58. I mean, when we get the bill that's more than that, we'll have an adjustment, I
Yeah,
guess.
I don't see any of you guys have not turned me down on utilities for a transfer yet.
No,
Tell them to wear a sweater.
Oh, great.
That's what I tell Chelsea.
One with a sweater, one with a heater underneath their desk, another one with the window open.
So one of the things that Eric and I have been working on the last 2 years is obviously if they have surpluses, we kind of want to give them the opportunity to do those one-time things with the surplus of money. We won't know what their actual cash forward is until, 3 weeks from now?
Still payrolls over, two accounts payable.
So end of the month. The rest of his requests that he really went through are items he wants to add if he has those one-time funds. I don't know if there's any on the list that you don't want to see or want to have him give you more information on. A few of them, let me see that for a minute.
Yep.
A few of them were capital items. Some of them were materials. They had additional roads or things they were gonna do if they had the funding to do them. Like I said, I
Most of them
don't,
was improvements, road improvements and stuff.
Well, he was
So-
putting more money into different spots.
right, so the ones he was going through was we were adding 25,000 to road materials. We were adding 30,000 to asphalt, 25,000 to culverts, 10,000 to concrete. 40,000 to highway maintenance facility, which would be the addition of some, I think, restrooms and office space.
Yeah, and I'd like to look at ARPA money for that, because that is allowing us to keep people away from being all congregated in one area. So I think we could justify that, but.
and
that's-
using porta potties? Isn't that what
They do it
Oh,
there.
yeah.
they do out at,
So most of the time, they have people that work out of those for snow and stuff. They're positioned there. They have salt there that they can go to a closer place to do that. Right now, yes, it's porta potties. They
Yeah.
don't have a bathroom.
In the Centertown building and I forget what other building.
That's
Bridget.
pathetic.
Well, but it doesn't justify building a permanent restroom facility either, does it?
Well, we do have buildings at both of those two. Centertown and Bridget.
Yeah, and then he had a mini excavator, a trailer for the mini excavator, a hydro seeder, an increase to the pickup truck budget that's already in there. And then he has a wish list of things that if there's money there, parking, truck building, truck parking building, let's read it in the right order. A wash bay to wash their vehicles, and then feasibility study to kind of do their master plan for their facilities. So I don't know if you want to, is there any you disagree with on the list or that you want Eric to provide more information? If you do, we'll try to contact him and get that for you. If not, we will wait till the end of the year and add in all the items that we can with that surplus.
That's what I think works for me. And he may change his mind at the end of the year and say, I need more culverts, we had more culverts that we're gonna have to replace, or.
So usually, same thing with sales tax, Eric and I will get together as close to December 31st as we can to go through those open purchase orders and that available funding and true everything up. If you guys don't have anything on that list that you disagree with, we'll just let him choose the items off the list that are his highest priority.
Okay.
So other than that, salaries is his other requests in there. Do you guys have anything you want to go over or want more information about?
Okay. Let's hear them.
Do we want to keep going? Do you want to talk about parks and public works together?
Okay, so how is parks, I'm sorry, how's Public Works impacted by parks growing like it has? Do we look over here and can we see some of, part of the offs?
So
Part of
I
the
think-
offset?
I think their explanation was that they had a full-time position that spent a bulk of his time at parks. That person retired.
Yeah.
In their
Okay, that person retired but is coming back as a,
part-time
Part-time.
person in the parks.
Yeah.
okay.
But there is no savings to the public works budget.
No savings.
They originally, when they submitted their budget, they wanted to take that person who is a higher dollar salaried person and create 2 maintenance workers. You could split that person in half and make 2 maintenance workers. That's what's in my proposal, was 2 maintenance workers in the place of that one person. Since then, he has decided that, well, I'm just gonna replace 1 for 1, but at a lower amount. And then he had additional salary requests he wanted to do with the savings.
Okay.
So is it the pickup truck for that, is that, because there isn't a pickup truck in the parks, was there?
No,
So, because,
Why are you loitering again?
because we're supposed to, they're supposed to have a truck that they can use to blade our, like, health department and,
Where's the sheriff when we need him?
Just call me when you're done. What do you need, Harry? I'll take care of it.
No, that's why,
He's right there. He ain't got a gun though.
Hey, George, Barry.
so
Go ahead.
are we taking one of the public works trucks then?
I'm assuming they're transferring one from Public Works to Parks that
Okay.
they're probably already using for,
Okay, okay.
it's already, it's already really there.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
okay.
not.
I want to make sure we're,
I missed another parks meeting today because of our conflict and another conflict I've had, but the parks people they want us to grow the parks. I mean,
Sure.
I think the problem with growing parks is that there's no revenue from parks.
well, I'm not,
comes out
it's,
PR.
yeah, but there's no revenue from a lot of things we do for our citizens. I mean, the auditor doesn't generate any
Do
revenue.
not?
But
Right.
statutorily, you have to do that. You know,
Well,
it's not like an
true.
option.
And we don't have to have parks. We could
Right.
say that, heck, if you want a park, move to a city.
Right.
We don't want to do that.
No, it's all about the resources you have to do what
Right.
services you want to provide and what is the priority on the services. You know,
True.
that is definitely your all's charge.
Okay.
So maybe we'll come back and talk about both of those when we do salaries, but that's kind of
Okay.
the history of
All right.
what that looks like. Assessor's budget. Page 98 and 99, there were no requests other than 2 additional employees. So I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
Well, okay, if we want to talk about people, I mean, we have it in the other ones, but if we want to talk about it here, earlier this fall, when the assessor said to me, the software is really slowing us down, I said, how much is it slowing you down? Well, when you pull up this one screen, you have to wait a few seconds. And, okay, how many seconds and how many times? And just add it up and tell me how many person hours or people to make up the difference. Well, I never got a response for that. I suspect there's some truth to that it may not be as spontaneous as as the good old days. I don't know if that's why they're asking for those two here or not.
So I was a little confused by his chart showing what they do with properties. So obviously the average number of employees is what he was trying to show there, but
That chart he indicated came from Clear Basin.
yeah, something.
So how is that possible?
I don't know. But if you look at that chart for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months of the year, he is not that underfunded because he has 12 positions and it's saying he needs 13.75. So he has 12 positions plus a part-timer, so I would say 6 months of the year he has adequate staffing based on the 2020 chart. The items that happen in the other 6 months of the year where it says he needs 21 or 24 employees, I don't think that's feasible to be, my staffing goes from 24 to 13. What do those other people do the other 6 months of the year? So his chart to me is very confusing, and I know that their work is a lot like the collectors. You know, there's a certain time of the year where they are really busy and maybe it falls off and lags a little bit in the other part of the year depending on whether or not it's a reassessment. But I think also if you look at these two charts and you're comparing 2020 to 2021, which is funny because 2021 shows an average of 14.4 employees. There's also a difference there, or at least there should be, in the amount of work because one year was a reassessment year and one year wasn't. So you would think that the average number of employees in a reassessment year would be larger than the year before. And
Only
it's
if
the opposite.
only if reassessments are being done.
So I don't understand the information that he provided. And maybe I'm looking at the information incorrectly.
So the difference between department request and budget officer suggestion is two warm bodies
Yes,
with salary of approximately 40,000 each.
yes, one was 32 and one was 34, I think.
Really? Well, maybe
He had some other
Okay.
merit money in there that
Oh, okay.
that included as well.
so
Something else I think we need to talk about is his part-time. We did increase his part-time the last couple of years due to the change in software. We understood, hey, there could be some data entry or things that were needed. We're gonna give you some part-time people to help out with that. It has not been used.
got it. I see that.
So I left it in there, but it's
Put
not
41 there and he's going to use somewhere short of 8,000 maybe.
Yep.
Okay. I'll probably be the odd man out here, but I'm going to suggest that he gets the number of people that he wants. Instead of us commissioners being the ones that cause all the problems there because he doesn't get enough people.
While we're talking about that, there is an agreement with a local staffing agency that he wants to use at the moment. I'm not opposed to that. I think you need to go into it with your eyes open. If we find a person through a staffing agency like that, we then have to buy out that person to actually hire them as a county employee.
What's the typical buyout? Is it X months of salary?
Somewhere between 1,500 and 3,000 usually, depending on the salary of the person that they have placed with you.
3,000 being the high side?
usually. That's not a locked-in. but-
Right. Would
I
that,
thought some of them was so many months,
Well, they
It-
are. Usually it's a period of,
up to 6
and
months.
then you have to buy out the contract if you want to hire them early, or you're committed to a certain amount additionally.
So fundamentally, I don't have an issue with that. It's just, do you all want to move to that sort of hiring?
That's
Option.
the certified commercial appraiser.
That was
I
not my
think-
understanding.
No.
I
No.
thought it was for
A
an
certified
appraiser
commercial
one.
appraiser's
Well, I
not
know,
gonna
well,
be
he-
at an employment agency.
Right.
They'll be able to find.
And if they are, there's usually problems.
Yeah.
And I want you to go into this situation with your eyes wide open. We have in the past had some issues with putting additional funding in his department
For
and
positions.
for positions, and then him saying, "Oh, you've approved my budget. Now I want to take that position and divide it out among my people and give them salary increases."
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of holdback on my end of things that I want you to be fully staffed, but if I give you a position, I want you to fill the position, not hold it open for 6 months and then divide up the difference.
And how much are we spending on professional services too, to do the,
About 50,000, and that's
Yeah, so-
without the 2 new agreements that we signed last week.
That added another 22,000.
and are these generally for commercial appraisals that have been challenged?
Yes.
The people that we hire are, yes,
Right.
outside of here, yes.
So it's the
Well, we
people,
don't hire, I mean, we contract with
Yes.
them
Yeah.
instead of hire them.
so it's the people that go
Companies.
through BOE and want to
Yes.
fight their commercial appraisal.
Right.
Yes.
That's a pretty intense calculation, substantiation, proof, documentation.
Most definitely, especially commercial and
Right.
everything like that, yes.
Well, and I think in the past, he's wanted a general certified appraiser,
Right.
which would be the person that would be doing these types of things, but the 2 positions he is asking for, neither one of them is that position.
So.
Well, maybe,
this
I
isn't-
mean, perhaps he cannot keep a certified commercial appraiser busy all the time. It ebbs and flows. I don't know.
I think years ago, his intention was to have one here at least, but
so that's
he
what
has
Judy
backup.
was.
Right.
Right, she was.
And
Yeah, she was
she
the
had
last-
plenty of stuff to keep her busy.
Well, these 2 he's adding, is that in addition to the one through CNS
I
or
think the
whatever?
CNS one is a current position that's open. So he does have I think a residential appraiser one open. Let's just look. Yes, a residential appraiser one that is currently open. So it's to fill that open position,
And who knows if he wanted to.
So then these 2 are in addition to that.
in addition to.
Yeah, because that would put him at 12.
He's done that, I think, at least twice.
To address the issue of, or the concern of funding positions that then aren't filled until X months later and then, or are not filled at all, let's say, and then that money being allocated, all right, that's a concern on one side. To alleviate that concern, you
can
don't,
wait to
you don't put them
appropriate
there.
until he has the person ready to be hired.
Okay.
And that's what was
but-
told to him a couple of years ago.
Right.
Okay, so, I mean, we could say, when you find the person, come to us, tell us what it will cost, and we'll add it at that time. Has
Yes.
that ever been suggested?
Yes.
I
That's
told him
how we've
that,
been-
I told him that a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
how we've been handling
Because
the
we
general
had that,
certified.
we had what, 43,000 in there for years and years, and he never filled it. And so we took it out,
Well,
and
you
one of the
divided up
budgets-
part of it, and we finally
and
took the
I
rest of
said,
it out.
when and if you find this person,
Right.
we will put it back in, because it was just there.
All right.
It's being used for.
So that's why we took it out of his budget. So
Maybe-
again,
Maybe that's how to split the baby here.
So yes, I would say try to find the person, and if you find the person, then come talk to us and we'll add it into the budget. That takes away that ability to play with the salary line.
Yeah. Does that sound reasonable, Jeff?
I'll consider it if he brings us somebody.
One or two.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a commercial person on staff.
Well, so that's not one of the two at
That's
the
not a
moment.
commercial thing. We're not talking about
But
that.
that's where I'm at. I think we need a commercial. When Judy was here, she was phenomenal. We were able to, I mean, you'd go talk to her about stuff and your head would explode because she would provide you with enough data and information to back anything and everything that she wanted to do, so. But that's how she was geared. She was geared just completely towards commercial.
But at the same time, if that didn't keep her busy 100% of a specific commercial concern expressed by the property owner, she was addressing other issues for the office.
She was the deputy.
She was, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So, she was a supervisor and she
So
had
I think you need to
duties.
decide if you're funding two, is the two, the 32 and a 34, like the positions because neither one of those is a general certified.
He's asking for a residential real estate appraiser at 34, and then a field reviewer, whatever.
I don't even,
have that.
yeah, we don't even have that position.
At 32. No. I don't-
I would go on record as saying,
not these two.
you find them, you find out what they would cost, and you come and ask at least this commissioner, and I.
Before you offer the position.
Right, you find out, you find the person you want at the price you want, and you ask for the money at that time, and I will say, go get them. I mean, hire them.
Now, is that
That's
going
that's for
through-
me.
Going through the service, or is this?
No, this is an
Just putting-
employee. This is an
Okay.
employee.
Okay.
The service is gonna cost you 30% more.
Yeah, I know, that's why I wanna make sure we're not.
Well, 30% more with no benefit. I mean, total 30%.
Well, like, as an example, they'll pay them $10 an hour, they'll bill us $15 an hour, and then we still have the buyout on them.
Right, if we buy them out.
But
But
are
at
we
$15
paying
an
them
hour, we're
benefits?
not paying, yeah.
Are we paying them benefits then?
No,
No.
zero. They're not our employee.
No, so,
They're not our employees, they
So-
buy them out, but then there's the buyout fee on top of all of that.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
It's going to be very difficult to find that person through a temp.
Well, that's what I think.
I think that it is.
If
That's
not,
what I
It's
think.
a very specified position, it's,
Right.
I think it would do better to go on Indeed or some of the other.
With no buyout fee.
well, so I don't know what he has tried at the moment to hire. Has he tried a
He
paid,
has a posting
is it a
on
paid
the website.
Indeed?
Is it what?
He's done Indeed, but is it a paid Indeed ad?
No, it's just strictly our website as far as I know.
So I think there are some options we could try internally to find those people before we go the CNS route, but I don't know.
Do we suggest an Indeed line advertising for it and
And he
put some money?
does have a publications line.
4,600.
Well, publications, is that what that would is? But
That's where normally, stuff like that would come from. Just like if we ran an ad in the newspaper, we would consider that a publication, like an employment ad.
is that also when you run an ad that says, turn your personal property assessments
Yes,
in?
it is.
So
when
it's
you look- I wanna see-
it's non-job related publications as well,
Yes,
not just want ads. Got it.
but let me look to see what he spent on that ad this year, because I don't think it's anywhere close to.
No, it was not very much.
His assessment dues ad looks like it was $124.
Are you looking at something that adds up to $2,819?
He's actually up to 4,019.
Okay.
So we could increase that line slightly to try to do some advertising.
Hardy.
So Harry wasn't here for the full page color
With
notice
his
in the
photo.
paper,
I'm familiar with that.
but that's what line that came out of, so it got.
Well, it never
backed
came
up.
out, and that was never paid,
No.
No.
was it?
No, the News Tribune actually wrote it off.
Not
and
paid by
collected
us
that.
anyway.
I think not paid by him either.
Okay.
When's the last time he had all his positions filled?
As long as I've been here, I don't think he had. the-
Fully staffed at one point this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was.
this year, short time.
For a short period of time, he was fully staffed.
Okay.
So you'll just have to let us know about the 2 positions and when you want those to go back in. If you're gonna maybe talk to him budget time or whatever and send him a note, they really weren't in this budget, but we're willing to talk about it when the person arrives. As far as using a service to fill that other position, I would just ask that maybe Sheila work with him more, maybe get it on Indeed, even if we had to pay for it, to see if we can find somebody as our employee instead of going through a service.
So can we footnote or asterisk that and say somewhere?
We
What we're
can
doing
put
here.
additional funding into the publications line in the notes that it's for.
Well, I'm
employment.
jumping back up to the salary line.
Oh,
So if we move the salary down like they're not there, but an asterisk that says they could be there at later time if
Yeah,
they're
I-
identified.
I don't know that,
I mean,
I guess I could put a note in contingency, even though we don't spend out of it, that X dollars set aside for employment once
identified.
identified.
Right. Back to an earlier discussion, earlier this morning. So what does another one of our offices that generates a lot of paper, what does it incur in expenses to destroy that paper?
I forget how
To
much
shred
is
it,
a pound.
to call the shred truck?
The only one that's consistently doing that is,
Prosecutor, I thought they call when they have stuff too. I
well,
don't know. Who has a can? I don't even know.
clerk is the one that does it pretty consistently a couple times a year.
Yeah, you can look in, I think I paid for it out of my miscellaneous. But we just keep it and then we pay by the pound, I think is how it is.
I just see the truck back there once in a while. I don't know who's actually,
You see them all
Using
over
it.
town. They do Cole County Abstract.
Well,
they
I
do
wanna
the
say
law
that,
offices.
Premier pays $30 a month for their monthly. Like if you fill the trash can and it gets dumped once or twice a month.
The trash, it's not really a trash can, it's a shred can.
Yes,
Okay.
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
It looks just like your big trash can at home
Right.
that you roll out to
Right.
the curb.
But it's
Locked. isn't
it's
it?
locked.
Yes.
Nobody
And
can,
it's got a slot in the top
Got
that you
it.
can't get back in it once you've slid the paper in it.
$30 a month.
I think so.
I
Or
propose.
$30 a time, so like if it gets full in between, you pay $30 per dump and shred. Guys, I have to leave at 3 today.
Right.
Okay.
I want to add $360 to equipment service contract line.
And
I guess that's what I would call it. I don't know.
for their shredding,
Yep.
anybody else?
I'm fine, yeah. That is
well,
not.
if we need to end at 3, that's fine. I got another meeting at 4 I could hit
Yeah.
if we're done for the day.
Did you say
but-
3? Did you say
I
3?
do have to leave
Yeah.
at 3. I got-
Okay, that's fair.
Poor
Okay.
sheriff. I guess we could just approve all his requests.
No,
Here, here.
no,
All
no,
in favor, say aye.
no.
Sorry, you didn't get a
Okay,
roast
so
from
tell me about tomorrow.
So tomorrow we
Eight.
will finish the last part of the book with our first run through of things besides salaries.
At 9 a.m.?
8 a.m.
Hey, I'm sorry, 8?
Eight.
It does start at 8.
8.
8 a.m. I do have some different spreadsheets we can look at as far as salaries are concerned, what different scenarios are. We can go through the requests for additional people to decide that piece of it.
Do that first.
And then we may end early tomorrow and finish on Thursday. If
You mean like 4:30 and 4:25 is
I'm
early?
out of here at 2 tomorrow. Not that you need
All right.
it, but I'm out.
Okay.
Because that would give me time to set up a spreadsheet if you have a certain scenario you want to see
All right.
or something. And then Thursday, try to make a final decision about salary stuff. We try to get that salary stuff done early so we can start on pay forms. Because that process of changing in the system takes a little while and getting all of those reprinted and everything.
Our target remains,
It has to go to the paper by,
It's, I already sent it to the paper, tell them it'd be available on what week? Because you have to give a 10-day notice and a 5-day in the paper, so, I'm sorry, I just sent it.
you don't have a new commissioner going in now, so you have to cut back, or it's a sooner date, right?
by the 10th.
10th of January.
And I think
have
we
it-
have it on the schedule for the 6th.
6th,
Got
which
it,
is a
okay.
special meeting on Thursday.
But once we get through this part, it's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just
it's-
looking at the backside if,
Yeah.
yes, we have
So
hiccups.
yes, after we get through this part of it, it will be waiting until the end of the year and putting in those cash forward numbers, and adjusting everything to balance back out.
And you can also run scenarios of the 4%. Did it fit? Did it not fit? Does another number fit better?
Yes, so that may be something we have to do. I did start this spreadsheet here, which kind of runs through in the individual funds what the different percentages would cost and with benefits. So you guys can see what an additional 1% or 0.5% would be if you want to change that 4% number. But we do have to get through what positions do you want to add and that kind of stuff first.
Sure.
Okay.
Understood.
Um,
I think my battery just went dead on this thing. Is yours still alive, Jeff?
Oh, yeah. I cheat, I have it plugged in.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's all I have for today, and
See
we'll
what
start
Big
again in the
Bry's
morning.
doing. We can get
8
Big
o'clock
Bry to
tomorrow.
get you another cord up here. I'll just read it.
8
At
o'clock.
8 o'clock.
7:30?
8 o'clock, it's
7?
already been published.
I'm at the store at
7, I'll bring donuts.
6:15.
Well, I'll get some baklava, so we'll start at 8, we'll eat some baklava first. and
That's
then
Carrie.
sign it.
You gotta do that
No.
down at
Got
City.
2 contracts.
It's coffee zone, I think.
Oh, baklava's Carrie's.
Walnut.
I know, but
Oh,
Coffee zone
not
does
that
baklava
pistachio
too.
stuff, I'm talking about walnut baklava.
Oh.
Debbie, you want me to shut
Okay.
this down?
I move we stand in recess till
Shut
4:30.
this down.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna forward y'all the article. I did find a little something on the prison count thing from 2012 or whenever we did that last. So I'll send that to y'all. I don't think we were having much of an argument about it, but it kind of touches, I think, where we were coming from back in the day. I don't think there's a whole lot of argument either, but it just,
But I'll keep looking,
Well, yeah.
I've gotta do the email.
They're counting in their
Greg first,
population
and then
total.
Jordy's called what we're talking
For the county. Yeah. And, oh my
I think they've done some stuff for towns that were smaller, that would make a bigger difference, and it could be a, 2,000 or 3,000 population prison, and a small town is gonna be 20% of their population.
Ooh,